All right, here we go. I'm going to introduce our mayor, Mayor Payton. Was just so blessed to have his appearance here and have him as our mayor. He's doing such a wonderful job, and we're so proud of him. And he's going to go ahead and give the invocation this evening. Thank you.
Sir. He had a hard time getting all of you to sit down. I figured the guest of honor might be able to just blow a whistle and get you all in here, but we'll see how that goes. It's an honor to be here with you, and it's just really kind of great to just be out in public a little bit. I called Governor Abbott before I came, and I said I'm not going to arrest anybody for not wearing masks here tonight, so you can stay in Austin where you need to stay, and we'll just keep doing the things that we need to do. So, and then hopefully you're recording the show that's going to take place later on this evening, and you can watch that comedy routine or combat routine or whatever that's going to end up being. So with that being said, let's pray together. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Many times when we pray to you, we just use phrases over and over, and one of them is just thank you for the day. But when we pause and think about it, this is the day you've made, and we're told to rejoice and be glad in it. And the fact of the matter is, every single day that we have encountered over the last many months has brought nearly something new all the time. But we're also told to rejoice in everything and to give thanks in everything, because we know that as our sovereign Lord, you're running the show. And the fact of the matter is, we may not understand it, but we can trust you. And I thank you that we can trust you. And we can trust you because you proved how trustworthy you were with your love by the sacrifice of your Son for our sins and for our salvation. So thank you that no matter how crazy things might be, thank you that no matter how crazy things might be in state capitals, in national capitals, and even in capitals around the world, that you are King, that you are in control, and we can trust you. And I pray that if we live by faith, people around us would continue to see that encouragement, and we would be encouragement and encouraging to people around us, and even in the most difficult times, because it's easy for us to take the good things from your hand and let people see the joy in our lives. It's another thing for us to see the tests and trials that are more important in life, and people see how we deal with those and see the quality of our walk with you in our life. Thank you for everybody who is assembled here this evening. All of us have different issues in our lives. I just got finished with a conversation about a person here who has a friend with cancer and so many needs, and we bring those before you, lay those before you, and thank you for how you know those needs, because as your word says, a sparrow does not fall to the ground without you knowing. So thank you for that care and love. Thanks for the food. Thank you for the Petroleum Club, for all the staff and the great job they do. Again, thank you for this night and your love, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Do the PBLA board members want to come up? Everybody but Derek, Nash, Danielle, all the PBLA board members, would y'all come up, please? The esteemed PBLA board members, some of them I didn't know that were actually coming. Y'all can keep eating, it's cool. Yeah. This is my teleprompter right here. It's I've got to pull it up so I can look at it. I got to zoom it up here. Yeah. Okay, PBLA board members. Right. So. Oh, y'all want to come on up here? Got a big room. Zach Smith. Oh yeah. Okay, this is everybody that wants to come up. So let's see, start with Jeremiah. And Jeremiah Cooper, he has an announcement. He actually has been coming up coming to Midland from Houston to the meetings and everything. And he's our second vice president, and he's in charge of memberships and the directory. And so he wants to talk about something, so that'll be cool.
Thanks, Tim. All right, not a lot to really say here. I think the one thing I want to point out, we're going to relaunch the PBLA on LinkedIn to kind of incite more for membership, kind of get that renewed spirit in there. We can communicate a lot of things between the monthly newsletter, meetings, and also just to re-energize membership. So we'll be doing that. If you get a chance, go to LinkedIn, look up Permian Basin Landman Association, and we'll be trying to get everybody involved that we have on our membership right now. So any questions, let me know.
Yeah, Jeremiah was running a golf tournament last year and it got shut off by this thing that we can't even see. It's kind of weird. But he had it all set up and ready to go, and so he's got us ready to go. That got canceled, but we're actually having everything else pretty much except for the education seminar, and we're going to have our clay shoot the day after tomorrow and our shrimp boil tomorrow, so all these events raise a bunch of money, and we are so fortunate to have all of you people that participate in the golf tournament and the clay shoot, and people coming here, and our sponsors. That we are actually the single most philanthropic professional organization in town, and that's nothing off of the other ones. We're just real proud of that. And the education seminar is going to be run by Danielle Jeter, and she's right here, and we're so glad to have her. And then we have Chase Ragsdale, and he's been publishing our newsletter, which has been really good. He's got some real innovative things going on there. This is his second year. Perhaps y'all have seen it, but it actually has some very bizarre obituaries, which some of them are absolutely hysterical. A couple of them are wonderful, just really neat. And then we have Nash Dowdle. He does the scholarships and charities, and he went ahead and cleaned it all out, knowing that everybody needed some help this year, and we went ahead and gave it all up, and hopefully we'll be able to help some other folks this year. We give to a whole bunch of charities. I don't know how many, but it's quite a few. And then there's Derek. He's sitting down here, and I'll be introducing him. And but he's doing great. He's really hands-on. I'll be introducing him in a minute. But now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and give our Lifetime Achievement Award. And there'll be some friends of mine that worked with me and the recipient. And we all worked at Texaco, and we were all shooting water balloons and things like that. Having a great time. And so we need John Eccles and Jack Madison and Jerry Went to come up here, and this is going to be really cool, very special.
Takes a couple of these guys a little bit longer to get up here. Him especially. For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Jerry Went. I was a landman here in Midland for about 27 years. Moved away with Pioneer Natural Resources, I guess 12 years ago, and then took early retirement a couple of years ago. I'm going to kind of give a little bit of background about our relationship with Frank Nix. For those of y'all in here in this room that didn't know him, we all started in the business about the same time, back in the early 80s. We all knew each other with the companies we all worked for. We survived the '83 crash, and we thought, hey, we've heard about these things, and so, hopefully, we've made it through. Well, then we all didn't know it, but '86 came along and slapped us all around pretty good. I think each one of us lost our jobs in that year also. we were very fortunate, I guess, with the legal system that's out there. That's when Texaco and Getty got in their big fight with Pennzoil, and so once Texaco was declared the winner, they had that bankruptcy issue came about, and so the three of us, as well as 20 something other guys, including Tip, and that's where we all met Tip and got to know Tip and Frank, and that's kind of where it started out the three of us and Frank, and then other people kind of joined the group. But we built a relationship back then, and we started a tradition where we went to lunch every Friday. If we were in town, we went to lunch every Friday, and we supported each other. We encouraged each other. We talked about, even after we all left Texaco when they moved out in '89, and we all got different jobs. We had an accountability group as landmen. I can tell you every story about Frank's kids over here, Rebecca, Kyle, Brett, and Allison. We know all about them. I've shared a few stories with Rebecca as she came to work for me years later, but no, we just, like I said, we prayed over all of our families. We encouraged each other and supported each other. Frank served on the PBLA board. We helped him out, I believe it was with the golf tournament a couple times. I served on the PBLA board 1 year under Elizabeth Moses when she was president. But we several years ago we approached Tip, and we all got together at one of the golf tournaments out here, and we just said, we've got to figure a way to honor Frank. Frank was just a top-notch landman. For those of y'all that didn't know him, our quote, if we ever said where we're going to meet and what time are we going to meet on Fridays, we always moved the clock up 15, 20 minutes, and we called it Frank time. Because we knew if we said we're going to meet 11:30, we'd be there and we'd all be halfway done with our meal before Frank showed up. Before he got there. So and the other thing, we're trying to think of, Tip asked us to think of things about Frank, and one of the things that I remember most of all, nowadays, if we're all going to carry our data around, we all carry a little flash drive, and y'all all know what I'm talking about. It's a great place to keep all kinds of information. Well, for those of y'all that didn't know Frank, back in our day, we didn't have a flash drive, but Frank had a billfold. And if you ever went to lunch with Frank or did any business with Frank, Frank put the receipt in his billfold. And Frank didn't go home and put the receipt in a folder. Frank kept that receipt in his billfold all year long. So by the end of the year, we would be eating lunch. Frank would, he would sit down, and he always leaned to the left. And we always wondered, was he Democrat or something here or not? But no, he couldn't. He couldn't. The billfold was so thick, and I'm not kidding you, it was like this, and he could get it in his back pocket. And that's probably one of the fondest memories we all had on teasing Frank. But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to John Eccles and let him say some other things.
Okay. Good evening, y'all. My name's John Eccles, and I was with this bunch way back in the 80s. I'm a retired but still working landman, and have been here in Midland since 1982. Jerry, Jack, Tip, Frank, we all worked together, as he said, at Texaco back in 1986, and where we all became really close friends. And we were just, doing life together. That's what we were doing. And so one of the things that always struck me about Frank was all the interests that he had. And y'all know what I'm talking about. And I wrote a few of them down here because he had interest and he was always learning. Frank was always learning. He was into RC airplanes. He told me one day he was taking ground school to get his private pilot's license. And then he ended up buying an interest in an airplane. He built golf clubs. He liked to fish. He liked to shoot. He brewed beer. He liked to do go-kart racing. And he did all the sports with all you guys and coached a lot of them. And he was a great coach and an exceptional athlete, if you knew Frank. And he was a big Texas Tech Red Raider fan. And lastly, his profession as a petroleum landman. He was very thorough. He was meticulous. He worked hard. He was a fair trader, and he had a great reputation in town. And I'm really proud to have known him. We're so richly blessed to have known Frank and have him in our lives. he is deserving of this Lifetime Achievement Award, and I know that, as in his obituary says, we'll all see him later.
My name is Jack Madison, and I was also honored to call Frank a very close friend. When he was talking about when we were at Texaco, from all of us together from '86 to '89, and then it started trickling out, and Texaco closed these offices here. But I just remember while we were there, John mentioned that we just kind of were growing up together. We were all young. I was the oldest one, although John and Jerry have caught me in recent years, so I'll relinquish that honor. But baby Jessica happened during that time, and we all had small children, and it's just that we just had a close-knit group. We'd all been through some pretty traumatic job losses. '86 was bad, and most of y'all are too young to remember that, and you ain't missing anything, I'm telling you. But Frank was just a wonderful guy, a great friend, and he had traits that I admired so much. Of all the things with Frank, every time you visit, and we had a lot of meals together, as he said, a lot of them. There was never any gossip with Frank. There was never any sarcasm, never any aggravation. It's just, I guess if he was feeling it, he did a good job of hiding it. But he just had a great attitude about things. He was a great friend. He was loyal. And I know he was very active in the PBLA, the golf tournament, the skeet shoot, probably several other things that I was not involved with. But also, and Kyle may not remember me very well, but I know Frank coached probably at least the two boys, and I'm assuming he coached Allison and Becca too. But what made an impression on me, and of course we've been friends forever, but Frank was coached Little League, and he coached youth soccer. And I don't know if there's anybody in here, I just know that he made an impact on a lot of young boys' lives. And because my son and Kyle are both 40 now, so they're well into their careers. And but you just never forget those things. And I know I've had kids come to me 15 or 20 years later and thank me for something I did. And I just remember Frank just seemed to do so much more, but he was so good with those boys, so good with the kids, and how a man interacts with and deals with young people under his charge tells you a lot about him. And Frank carried that over into his business dealings. He was just always a good guy, just a good man. I can only imagine what the kids still feel, but all of us, we miss Frank. We miss our friend. So, we do want to thank you tonight for honoring a wonderful guy. He's very deserving of the honor, and we're just glad that the kids could be here as well. But you lose track of things. Don't ever lose track of your friends. People move away, they grow up, they move off, and then of course we lost Frank tragically early. But value your friends and keep up with them. And we thank y'all for being here. We thank the PBLA. They do a lot. They always have. And I've been proud to be associated with this group all my career. So thank you very much. Would the family please come up here so that we can present this to them? On behalf of the PBLA, and we do thank them for this, we want to present this Lifetime Achievement Award to the children of Frank Nix, a wonderful man.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I don't really have anything to add to that. They just said it all. He was a guy he just treated everybody the same. Everybody liked him. He was best friends with our land manager, and he was also best friends with our land technicians. He didn't see anybody that he was superior to, and I just really loved his friendship, and just so glad that we've been able to honor him, and that the board was agreed to go ahead and pick Frank as our recipient this year. That's our second one. I forgot to introduce two people a while ago that are here. I think maybe some of them are incognito, but one is Clay Whitehead, and he's our immediate past president, and he did a really good job last year, just putting all this stuff together with this crazy, just something that came up that nobody would have ever thought of, that's never happened in anybody's lifetime. And then there's myself, and I'm Tip Kerwin, and I'm the president, and that's the reason I'm the president is because that I wasn't able to do anything technical, and so they went ahead and propped me up here. And the one thing I got going for me is I'm pretty loud. And so now the other one that I didn't introduce was Derek, but I said I wasn't going to introduce him, and he's our incoming president, and he's now our first vice president, but he's also still doing the shrimp boil, which will be tomorrow, and that's going to be really cool that we're going to actually have an event. Thank goodness that our city and county leaders are letting us do that. And so this is Derek, and he's going to introduce our wonderful keynote speaker.
Well, it's good to see a full house tonight with all the COVID and everything. And I want to thank Tip. He actually, typically the way this works, if everybody didn't know, the vice president puts this together. And because of COVID and everything, this is technically Tip, as I'm playing two roles, he's playing two roles. So he did all this, picked the speaker and everything you were eating tonight. So if you don't like it, it's his fault, not mine. And then also I want to bring up Clay again and Tip and having to put stuff together and decisions to be made during all this wasn't tough, and rest of the board for allowing this week to happen. We jumped through a lot of hoops. And also our government officials. We got Mayor Patrick Payton here. Big hand. That helps a lot. So I just want to thank everyone for that. And now we've got Sarah Thomas, who has a heck of a bio. And I mean, where do we start here? First female referee, official first female referee. And she also, her fun fact, her very first game to referee was in Texas. So let's give that a big round of applause. All right, so officiating her first game, September 13th, 2015, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. Sarah's hat, whistle, and flag are now on display at the NFL Hall of Fame and serves as a testament to the historic achievement. Since her addition to the NFL roster of officials, she has become a trailblazing inspiration to women everywhere and embodying the notion that with a belief in self, inner drive, hard work, preparation, and mindset of being the best you can be, no barrier and ceiling is impenetrable. With the same unflappability that it takes to make a split-second call in the field, Sarah exudes equal confidence on stage as she shares key insights on overcoming adversity and odds, finding your passion while maintaining work-life balance, decision-making, and not only succeeding as a female in a male-dominated industry, but achieving a breakthrough success for males and females alike. So Sarah Thomas, could you please come up?
Sure. Thank you, Derek, for introducing me. I just got mine up, so am I too loud, or is it okay? Everything's good? Yes, thank you for that introduction. It's good to be live in front of people. My world stopped March the 6th. That was my last speaking engagement in Boston. And I can tell you they didn't understand my southern twang, but I know here in Texas y'all will be able to understand me, right? I do have to say to Tip, he is right when he said he was technically challenged. Maybe that's the only reason he got to be president. Because today I got the agenda, and it was over a text message, so I was pretty glad that you had the multiple text thread going. But it was on a steno sheet. I was like, holy cow, who does this? That's my daddy. That's like my dad. So I appreciate Tip, all that you're doing. It's great. Jerry, Jack, and Tom. I don't know who Frank is, and I know this is his family, but being the speaker after the award that was just given to his family, I hope I can do him justice because he sounds like an amazing man. I hate I wasn't able to meet him. So to the family that's just lost him, my condolences to you, but he was a heck of a guy. It's a legacy that you'll carry on forward, right? So, yeah, so I'm Sarah Thomas. I'm a football official, and that doesn't define me, right? And I do believe in this group, there's probably some football fans. Okay, so if you are a fan of football, regardless of how you feel about the NFL, if you are a fan of football, can you please just raise your hand? Could you just do this? All right, look, we're going to take an oath. Just leave it up. Very interactive session here. I promise, I can't hear you. From this day forward, I will no longer boo the officials. Okay. All right, you're ejected. You're done. I say it's just for 1 year, but this year, the fact that we're actually having a season, I'll just give you a little grace and it'll apply to next year. I'm number 53 out there on the field. For years, you couldn't tell who I was, unless you're a woman and you know that we have childbearing gifts because I did pluck my hair for years. And Gerald Austin did that to me when he first hired me in Conference USA to blend in. And I get it. I understand why he did it because he's walked that walk. And he just said, if you walk out there with your hair out there, you're immediately going to stereotype you that you don't know what you're doing. And then he said, but you got to wear a little more than makeup. And I said, now you're crossing the line. I said, I'll wear makeup. All right, so I don't know who has the clicker. Do I have the clicker? Is it up here? Oh, I'm going to hit it. Am I going to hit it? Let me see. Maybe? Oh, see? All right. These three perfect, innocent, beautiful children that do no wrong, they're mine. I am not that mom. But I am always asked, Sarah, what motivations? They encourage me. I have to feed them, I have to clothe them, now I have two driving, I have one in college. So they encourage me. But I am the one that has to motivate myself. And I always tell a room, if you are not the one that is motivating yourself to get things done, you need to check yourself at the door. It starts with you. And I hope the sacrifices that I've made as a mother, not being there for Bailey's first steps because I was at Walmart grocery shopping, but I hope the sacrifices that I've made, they see that I'm motivating them to do and be the best that they can be. So Bridley is to my left. He's the one that looks like, am I blocking this? I am, aren't I? You're fine. All right. So Bridley's to my left. He's the one that looks like Billy Idol. He's 19. He is a sophomore in college, but he's got a freshman eligibility. He's playing baseball at Meridian Community College. And I'm just glad he graduated high school. And then Brady is to my right. He's 16. He's 6'4" and a half, size 14 shoe. He's catching, which is crazy to me. And I tell you what, he is my toughest challenge, but he is going to be my greatest reward. I know it's coming at some point. And I can say that because I'm paying for him a raisin, right? And then there's Bailey, and yes, she is my daughter, not my granddaughter. I was much older in life when I had her, 39, 40. And she is just as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside, and just as independent as you can imagine I would want my daughter to be. I have a funny story to tell you. So there's this, ceremony where the top 50 most influential people in Mississippi are honored, and I was one of them. And there's more than 52 people to influence in Mississippi. But she goes with me. And she's the youngest attendee there, so she's 5. And she turned around and she says, hey Mom, I'm gonna go meet some people. I said, okay, we'll go ahead. And so she leaves and I'm gonna follow her, and she said, don't come with me. And I said, okay. So she goes, there's probably 300 people there. First person she comes up to is the former First Lady, Deborah Bryant. And she's talking to her. When I walk up, Deborah goes, Sarah, is this your daughter? And I said, yeah, well, Phil Bryant was standing there, and he was the guest of honor. And he looks at Bailey and he says, well, now aren't you just the cutest little thing? And she put her hand on her hips and she said, thank you. And then she poked him in his leg and she said, now what do you do? And I went, yeah, that's my daughter, that is my kid. But yeah, I'm telling you, you've got to motivate yourself because no one else should. All right, yep, this is me. If you're having trouble to figure out which one I am, I'm the one standing behind 31 with the bad perm. And the saying at the bottom, you've got to accept the fact that some days you're the pigeon and some days you're the statue, right? I was definitely the statue for a long time, my poor mother. But everybody thinks that Sarah Thomas arrived the day that the NFL hired me. Yep, when the NFL hired me and those 3 initials were behind my name, it forever changed my life. But my journey started so long ago. I was raised in a family. Mother and Dad still married 52 years, and Dad instilled in me, you know, never to depend on a man for anything, and I think I took him to heart because I can't keep a man, but I was raised that way. Then my dad's brother was drafted right out of high school at Long Beach Polytech out of California to play for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then my aunt, my mom's oldest sister, she was the first woman to win an NCAA college basketball, women's basketball tournament, championship. That was in 71. 73, she was honored to coach the U.S. World Team that went to Moscow, Russia. Pat Summitt was on her team. So you can see the legacy that I've had in my family with athletics. I have an older brother and a younger brother, and we'll get to them in just a minute. But my aunt, she asked me when I was in 5th grade, I'm tall, I was wondering who was going to be the first person that asked me. It was you, Kurt, wasn't it? Was it you? You said, you're a lot taller than I thought you would be. I was like, that's always the first question, because I look like a shrimp compared to those guys. But she said, are you going to play basketball? And I said, well, Aunt Jill, they don't have a girls' team. She said, go out for the boys' team. So I did. 5th grade, that was 80s. I make it. I make the B team. JV, varsity, you know, our age was A and B team. So I played on the B team my 5th grade year, and then the 6th grade year, you're supposed to go and play on the A team. Well, I go and I practice, I go home, and my dad asked me, he said, Sarah, he said, how was it on the A team practice? I said, Dad, I'm not on the A team. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm not on the A team. He said, why? I said, because they said I was a girl, I couldn't be on the A team. So we loaded up in the 1978 Ford LTD and went right back to that gym. And my dad gave a piece of his mind to this coach. Well, you know when you're that age, you're just going, please stop. Just stop, Dad. You're embarrassing me to stop. But instead of me kind of like wallowing in my misery or trying to make an excuse, that year taught me so much about confidence. And instead of looking at things always as a roadblock, because they said I couldn't, or you're going to make some excuse of whatever it is, I learned a valuable lesson. It was just a speed bump. And the quicker you can get over a speed bump, the faster it is in your rearview mirror. And if you're constantly looking in the rearview mirror, you're looking at things that are always behind you. And that rearview mirror is only about this big. But your windshield is how big? This big. And there's so much more to look forward and look for the opportunity. And I learned that lesson. I dominated that year. I was the tallest player. I jumped center. I could almost dunk. So I just owned all the boys in the D-team league, right? So this is the 7th grade year, and this is the A team. And they were good. We won the championship. We were the A team. And they had all kind of passed me in height, and I probably played 50% of the games, and of that, 50% of the time. We win the championship. Jay Walton, he's 6'8" now. And he said, you know, you're going to try out for junior high. And before I can answer, Jay, he told me, he said, you'll never make it. You're not good enough. Well, I didn't try out. I tell Jay, we're still friends. I told him, I said, you intimidated me, and there's only been about 2 other people since you, but you taught me a valuable lesson. I didn't try out. Well, like any good coach, right? He sees height walk in the halls. He don't care if you can bounce a ball and dribble, you know, chew bubble gum or whatever at the same time. Just come on. Just be a body. So Coach Walker asked me if I would come and try out. So I try out, I make the B team. I scored 14 points, I think, my first game, and I never saw JV again. So I played high school basketball. Funny joke with Jay, right? Everybody wanted us to be together because he's tall and I'm tall, and we could just have this basketball family and live happily ever after, right? So they knew he was going to ask me to the prom. And I said, oh yeah, I'll say yes. So he asked me to the prom, and I could wear heels for the first time and not be taller than the guy I was going out with. So at the end of the night, I knew he was going to try to kiss me. So he does, and I tell him no. Because I was still upset that he told me I wasn't good enough to make the basketball team, right? So fast forward, Jay gets a scholarship to play at Mississippi State. And I told him it was only to keep the GPA up because he was terrible, really. You know, he just needed to help the team. And I said, but you know what, Jay? The funny thing is, I said, you weren't good enough to make it to the NBA, but I was good enough to make it to the NFL, so I went pro, buddy. So, we stay there, we see each other pretty often. He lives in Nashville, goodness gracious. He lives in Nashville, which I'm supposed to be working that game this weekend, but I don't know that I'll be there because of COVID. We'll see. Well, so I go on, I play high school basketball, I go on, I play at the University of Mobile. And then after college, there wasn't a women's league, so I ended up playing in a men's church league with my brothers. Well, after 3 years of playing in this church league, I had this guy come up to me, and he said, Sarah, he said, I'm sorry about what happened last night. I said, what happened last night? He said, you don't know. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm single, I was by myself last night, I do not know what you're talking about. And he said, you really don't know, do you? I said, no. He said, they kicked you out of the men's league. I was like, for what? He said, because you're a girl. I said, I've been in this league for 3 years. Are they just now realizing that? I said, okay, well, it's a church league. Surely we had someone from my church team that got a vote. He goes, nope. I went, you gotta be kidding me. So I said, all right, I'm gonna protest the vote. So we have a revote. Sorry, Mayor, I know you were a pastor before, but anyway. So literally, we have ties, 8-8, and the pastor is a tiebreaker. And I love Brother Jerry. To this day, I hug his neck. So it's tied, 8-8. And so the preacher asked one of these guys, said, why don't you want her in the league? And he said, well, he said, you know, when she posts us up, or we post her up, it just feels funny. I said, you know what, I'm going to save y'all a lot of heartache, and I'm just going to say this, because my mouth does get ahead of myself at times. And I'm just going to say this, and I'm just going to kind of excuse myself. I looked at that guy, and I said, you know what, as fast-paced of a game as basketball is, if you get some sexual sensation out of it, you don't need to be in this league. Well, I said sexual sensation in the Baptist church, and I was gone. Done. I told you, Clay, I thought you know. So, I am 23, I have played organized sports my whole life. I call up my daddy, as y'all know that term here. I call him up and I said, you gotta be kidding me, because I'm a girl, I can't play, what am I gonna do? I've done this for my entire life. So fast forward a couple of months, and this is, the one to my left is Lee, my older brother, and I literally blame him for all of this. He walked the straight and narrow. The oldest, I mean, just squeaky clean. Then there was me. And then there's my baby brother, Scott. He's in the JUCO league. But this quote here, like, don't let people drive you crazy. You're gonna get there on your own. It's within walking distance. I know I drove them crazy growing up, and I probably still drive them crazy, but seriously, just know you're gonna get there on your own. So Lee is a Division I Conference USA official. He got into Conference USA the year I got into the league. And then Scott is a junior college official in Mississippi. And they said, sis, we all want to work on the same field together one day. And I said, well, you better get hired in the NFL, because I don't plan on getting fired. So I am talking to my brother Lee on the phone, and I just asked him, I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? It's a Wednesday afternoon. He said, I'm going to a football officials meeting. I said, can girls do that? I guess so, sis. Be there at 6. So I show up with my brother. He stops me before I go into this meeting, because he knew these were a bunch of old men set in their ways, and he just told me, you're going to get some strange stares. And I said, I can handle them, brother. I can handle them. So we walk in, and sure enough, Mr. George Nash is at the front. He's 80. He's still one of my mentors to this day. And he stopped talking to a colleague and he just watched me. So to break the ice, I said, is this where you become a football official? I cannot ever repeat what he said, but then he said, I guess so. So I sat there in that room, and all of you that raise your hand that are fans, you would never think after watching some games on Friday night or Saturdays or whatever, that these people actually get together and discuss rules and what-if scenarios. You just think they found 5 guys on the street, gave them striped shirts, go survive 4 quarters, and then we got cold beer waiting on you. You know, that's what you think. Well, when I sat there, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They're really challenging each other. And I was so intrigued by that they took pride in what they were doing, because when I played sports, I hated the officials. And truth be told, they probably hated me. But I mean, I couldn't believe it. Then that competitive side of me was, all right, I've shown my face. I was always taught once you start something, you gotta finish it. So now I've gotta dig in. And I had no idea about the game of football. There are a lot of people out there that still don't think I know anything about the game of football. But I dug in. 10 years I worked high school, had 2 kids in between, wore the pregnancy, that was awful. The wives of the crew made me a maternity referee top. It had lace and everything, but I wore it because it was the only thing that fit. Because I didn't want to lose my, my credentials there and my credibility. I had to work the clock, so I worked the clock. Well, like anything in life, I try to tell my children, you're not going to get out of school and go and make 6 figures. I probably won't allow you to do that. I mean, it'd be great, and I would hate for you to pass up that opportunity, but you need to be the runner, you need to be the receptionist, you need to be the coffee maker, you need to understand what it takes to make it run. So you work your way up. So the next step in high school officiating, the next step is junior college. Well, my 9th year, I was on this crew, and they wanted me to apply. Well, he comes back to me and he says, don't apply. The assignment secretary said he would never hire a girl, and so don't even apply. And I was like, you know what, if I can't get there because of my merit, I mean, I'm not gonna try to prove myself as a woman. I'm not ever gonna change that. I think you can these days, but I'm not. But I'm just saying, I wanna be there on my merit. So my 10th year, I said, I'm hanging it up. The boys were getting older, Brigley was starting to play organized sports, and that was my priority. That's where I needed to be. What I thought was my last game was a high school game, championship. There was an NFL scout there. Had no idea these people even existed. He was there to scout certain officials. There was a play that happened, and I just went in to correct the chains, just to get things situated. Then I had to go back to the coach and get him kind of calmed down. And he called me 4 days later, and he said, look, he said, I noticed you last night. He said, but I didn't know that you were a girl. And I went, ooh, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. But anyway, he said, I think you got what it takes to go to the next level. Well, of course, he had my attention when he said NFL. And then I knew I wouldn't be going to the junior college. So he plugs me in with Gerald Alston. Gerald worked 3 Super Bowls, 27 years in the league, formerly known with, Monday Night Football with Tirico and Gruden, and then now he's working with Gruden with the Raiders. But in any event, he hires me. The joke with Gerald is, how in the world did you hire the first woman? You were making history, and you didn't even know what I looked like or if I could work. Well, Joe Haynes was the NFL scout that plugged me in with Gerald. Joe told me, he said, it's your field presence. I was recruited out of high school, and he just said, it's how you carried yourself on and off the field and how you handled the coach and the situation. And I just have to tell everyone, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right or wrong, just know someone's always watching how you go about doing it, and it matters. Gerald told me, he said, well, Joe has never given me an official that couldn't work, and he had called me up and asked me about a play that I had worked at a scrimmage. So it was like my interview to get into Conference USA. And he said, you didn't make an excuse, you didn't lie about it, you told me, so I knew your character was in check, and that meant you would be coachable. And I told Jared, I was like, I know you were old, but senile too. I mean, making history, you don't even know if I can work. So he hires me. I work Conference USA. That's the knickers right there. I'm glad they're gone, ladies. Black pants make it look so much better. But literally, if you sit back and you think about all the social media, I probably have a couple of mansions built across this country with all the bricks that have been thrown at me. But if you are going to be successful, you can lay all those bricks that are thrown at you and build a firm foundation, and I truly believe that I'm doing that. But this was my second game in Houston, University of Houston. And the joke is about the 7 or 8 seasons is because I called Gerald up. I was working Arena League. And that's one thing about officiating in football. You work any kind of league you can work to get snaps. Because we're not full-time, right? I'd like to say we are full-time. We don't leave in the third quarter. We work 4 quarters if there's overtime, you know, but we are full-time. But literally, we work every kind of league we would like to, so I was working Arena just to get snaps. So when I called Gerald up and I said, Gerald, I said, hey, look, I got to tell you something. He said, what's that? I said, I'm pregnant. He said, with what? And I said, well, he had never had an official tell him that, right? So I said, well, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but I'm pregnant. And he said, all right. He said, well, we're going to have to tell them you're missing the rest of the season because you have a high ankle sprain. I said, Gerald, it's going to swell up around my belly. I can't hide the fact that I'm pregnant. So Bailey was born 12-12-12. She was special. And that year was the year of the placements, so nobody got hired. The reason Gerald was saying I had the high ankle sprain was because he knew the calls were going to be going out about the hires of the NFL. Well, 2013, I'm in the developmental program. The league got the developmental program instead of NFL Europe. Worked that whole year, and when I got hired in the developmental program, the media went crazy saying I was going to be the first female hired in 2014. Well, I worked the Senior Bowl, January 2014. There was a defensive end, number 55, that played it all over D Ford. One of the main concerns with a lot of the NFL supervisors was that, is she able to keep up with the agility and speed and athleticism of the Power 5 schools, because Conference USA is a mid-level. Sure enough, D Ford, SEC guy, jumps offside. I don't flag him. It gets worse for me. He sacks the quarterback. So instead of it being, first and 5, now it's second and 15. It just looks terrible. So it kind of put an exclamation point on what they were concerned about. Fast forward a couple of months, I'm with Gerald in Baltimore. We're at a football clinic. He calls me, he says, hey, come to my room. So I'm thinking, he knows if I'm gonna get hired. I go in there, and he says, sit down. He said, they're not gonna hire you. I'm waiting for the punchline. He said, they're not hiring you. I said, Gerald, what did I do or not do? And he said, don't start with self-doubt. I said, I'm not doubting myself, Gerald, but I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't start with me. There's something I did or did not do. Of course, that play was in the back of my mind. Fast forward 2 more months. I'm going to a mini camp, Kansas City. D Ford gets drafted as a rookie, Kansas City. One of the supervisors that did not think I belonged in the NFL told me, he was in the car, he said, number 55 will forever be your guy, Sarah. So I knew that play, and then D was here. So I go up to D. I said, you know what, buddy? I said, you remember that play that happened in the Senior Bowl? And I told him. I said, it kept me from getting into the NFL. He said, well, it got me in the NFL, so I appreciate you not calling. So that was 2014, and then 2015, April the 8th at 10:57 a.m. Central Standard Time, area code 212 calls, that's New York. Dean Blandino's on the other end of the line, and he said, Sarah, I want to congratulate you on being one of 9 new game officials in the NFL. Welcome to the National Football League. I was speechless. Really, I was. And then he said, look, hate to do this to you, pack your bags. You got to fly to New York for like a 4-day media frenzy, which was fine. But that quote at the bottom, you got to be yourself because everybody else is already taken. I know I'm the only girl and I've got to be myself. How often, whenever you are the only one, the lone soldier, that you try to take on somebody else, and you just can't. You've got to be yourself. I've learned so much through this journey, I'm telling you. But I'm trying to apply it to my kids and my daily walk and everything, but if you're constantly going through life trying to prove yourself to others or prove someone wrong, that list of people will never end. You will exhaust yourself because there will always be somebody that is there saying you can't. And it's just like the preacher, Brother Jerry. I hug his neck every time. He was doing what he thought was best at the time. And I didn't do myself any favors by voicing my opinion so strongly. But you can't. You cannot go through life constantly trying to prove people wrong. It's about that rear view mirror and that windshield. if you're looking at the person, Brother Jerry, and I'm trying to prove wrong, he's always right there occupying that space between my ears that he shouldn't. So whenever I was in my interview, and I don't know if we can roll this tape. I don't know if we can. Do you know, Chip?
I don't really know, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So one of the main questions in my interview, when I interviewed with the National Football League, it was in 2011. If you can't, you can go to Google or you can go to YouTube and play it some kind of way. I don't know. You may not get to see it. You may have to all YouTube it. But I was asked, what's going to happen when you get hit? And I said, I hope your concern is for all the officials, because I'm bigger than some of the men that you've hired. So this game is December the 24th, Christmas Eve, 2016. It's a balmy 29 degrees in Green Bay. That is really like a heat wave there. And it's the Vikings against Green Bay. It's late in the fourth quarter. Well, there's about 7 minutes left to go in the game. And it's a busted play. The quarterback rolls out to my right. I start to take a step back. So I lose sight of the receiver, Rudolph, and a defender. And when I take my eyes off of him, because I'm watching the quarterback throws it. When I turn, I get smashed.
Oh, wait,
That's me on the 50. Oh, that's me. It's got to take two stronger men than that to keep me.
And Sarah Thomas, the line judge, who you could see her saying, I'm all right. And, we're doing this back.
So y'all can't hear Troy Aikman and Joe Buck saying, that she's gone in for concussion protocol, that we go in concussion protocol. Well, being the girl, the bun protected my head. But they didn't even ask me if I had a headache. I didn't go in a tent. I didn't get checked for a concussion or anything. And I'm sorry, I don't know if it's allergies. I've been all over the country this last few days, but it's not COVID because I'm tested quite often. So in any event, they said I had concussion. Yeah, I was going to concussion protocol, but I knew something was wrong with my wrist because I tried to grab it. So I walk off that field. I go through that tunnel. I lose my religion. I am so mad at myself that the girl got killed on Christmas Eve in national television. So I go back and they x-ray me. Green Bay trainers, they x-ray me. And ladies, you'll get a joke, laugh at this. They have to ask us if you're childbearing years, you're pregnant. They put the little blanket. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm not pregnant. But we've never x-rayed a woman in here before. So they had to get the little blanket. They didn't have to, but they tell me my wrist is broken. So I go to the trainer's table, and I told you it was like 7:28 or something in the fourth quarter. Very one-sided game when I left. I looked up, and it's like 4 minutes and something left to go in this game, and it was close. So I looked at the doctor and the trainer. I said, put this splint on. I'm going back in the game. There was a player sitting next to me. He said, you are one bad. And I thought, okay, And then the NFL security that was with me, he said, there's no way. And I said, yeah, get your running shoes on. I said, I'm going back in this game. I said, for one, my mom and daddy are probably worried sick about me. And if I go back out, they'll at least say I reappear. So it's the 2-minute warning. The guys are in a huddle. We have the devices in our ear. And I said, hey, fellas, you care if I join you? And they were like, heck yeah. So I run down the field. Well, the commentators, Troy, Joe Buck, tell everybody that's watching, oh, she's cleared concussion protocol, she's doing great. Nobody could see that I had a splint on to protect my wrist. Then it's so close, we have an onside kick. That's how this game ended. And the umpire comes over to me, which I love him to death, Sean Smith. He comes over to me. He said, don't try to be a hero. I said, look, I'm one step ahead of you. I've already asked this coach which direction they're kicking, and it's going the opposite way. So, finish the game, and as you can imagine, my phone had blown up, right? My kids, first one I picked up, called Briley and Brady, and Bailey wasn't old enough to even know. And, Mom, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I just got a broken wrist. They're like, all right, well, you got run over by Rudolph on Christmas Eve. And I went, yep, I did. Count Rudolph, Christmas Eve. And that story, when it's just about persevering, this is what I look at. I know the journey and all that. I had to get home for Christmas for my babies, right? Well, I missed my connection to Chicago because it was snowing in Green Bay. They reroute me to New Orleans, rent me a car. I drive 3 hours with a broken wrist, 3 hours home, spend Christmas with my kids. We load up back in the car, go 3 hours to Pascagoula to my parents, turn around, drive back home the next day on the 26th to see the surgeon, the orthopedic. And he says, it's not just broken there, it's broken here, and you gotta have surgery tomorrow, which was Wednesday. And I said, well, you have to have me out of surgery because Thursday morning we've got flights to New York and I'm not missing this. I've already told my kids. So I was in surgery. I've got a plate and 7 screws right there and a pin right there. Kyle Rudolph always tells me to send me my medical bills to him. I'm like, I think the NFL's got it. But yeah, it's just about persevering, right? And then this next little point right here. Don't do things for the recognition. If you're looking for a title, some 6 figures behind your name, whatever it is you're seeking out to be recognized, you will step on anybody's toes to do it. And the toes you step on to get up that ladder of success will be the backside you will kiss on the way down because you will not have earned it the right way. It's about the respect. It's about the work, hard work ethic, dedication, sacrifices. I say all the time, if you want to be like a Debbie Downer, and why does it always have to be a woman? Why can't we say Donald Downer, right? So if you always want to be around that person, that's what's going to happen. You're going to do that. But if you will just show the work ethic and that you do love what you're doing, I mean, it will just pay off. And that's what happened right here. This is my first playoff game, Patriots, Chargers in New England. And the year before that, my 3rd year, I had been placed on the alternate playoff crew. So I didn't get on the field unless one of the guys tripped and got hurt. I was trying to trip him. But this was after my 4th season. And the hard work and the dedication and all the sacrifices, this is where it is. When Ron Tolbert called me up, he said, I want to congratulate you on being selected to work a divisional playoff game. Not a wild card, a divisional. And I said, am I an alternate or am I on the field? And he said, you're on the field. I screamed like a girl. I was so pumped. I was so stoked. Just because it just takes a lot. I mean, it's a lot. But it wasn't doing it to be the first, It was just because I truly love what I'm doing. Someone asked me when we were taking pictures out there, I can't see them, they're like, do you love it? And I said, well, yeah, do you think I would volunteer to go and get yelled at by 50,000 people on Sundays? No. Somebody asked me too about the fans. Sarah, there's no fans there, how's it feel? I haven't noticed being there or not being there. I haven't missed a beat because we are so focused on what we're doing. When I did notice it, first game, walking in the tunnel in Atlanta, I went, well, this is different. We don't have people booing us or throwing things at us. I mean, that's when I noticed they weren't there. But if you do something because you love it, the recognition will come. You know, it just will. The people you thought you had to prove wrong, and it's not about proving people wrong, it's about improving you. And they'll either fall by the wayside or they'll start respecting you, right? This picture, I cannot believe, 1, that the photographer took it, 2, that I got my hands on it. I remember exactly what's happening like it was this morning. I'm the rookie. This is my rookie year. All the veterans say, do not get in the middle of them. Do not get in the middle. You see the veteran behind the pipe? So I see this unfolding. It's on a kickoff. The guy in red pins back the guy in white's helmet, and he just kind of drives him a little bit. It probably was a foul. I know you Dallas boys, but whatever. Anyway, so I come in and I get in the middle of them, and this is where I am. And I am thinking, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. So because this is the calm. But they're slinging stuff out there. I'm about to get hit. So I just throw my hands up and I start yelling. In my mama voice, right? They had never heard a woman's voice out there. They stopped. They stopped. So the guy in red had those red contact lenses that Nike puts out. And when I turned and looked, and that's this moment, I turned and I looked and I thought, oh no, Lucifer has entered the building. This is what I'm going on. But I'm telling you, you do something because you love it, and all the other stuff will take care of itself. I will tell you this too. This year has been quite the year, right? And we have not been able to put in as much work as we typically do to be as successful as we can. And the only time that success comes before work is in the dictionary. And if you want your kids or your company or whatever it may be to be successful, you've got to put the work in. And stop comparing yourself to your competitor or to the person that's just got hired or whatever it may be, because you're more deserving, because you are robbing yourself of that joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. If I constantly say, well, he got the playoff game because I'm the girl, I'd be miserable. The NFL did do it right. I am equally paid with the men. Just 6-year official I am. It is an equal opportunity employer too. Also, get your tail chewed out. They do not care if you're male, female, black, white, they don't care. You're going to get chewed out on the sideline. All they see is stripes, right? So look, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Simple math. Y'all are pretty brilliant people in here. So A is a 1, B is a 2, all the way to Z. 26. These are words we use at work, at home, kids, with ourselves, whatever it may be. We're trying to get to 100%, okay? So lazy is the first one, 64%. Success, 89. Confident, 90. Somebody, Clay, look up cocky. I think it's 57. It's pretty bad.
Sounds good.
All right, good. All right, excuses, 96. I love this one. I mean, this is pretty true. You know, people can come up with a lot of excuses, and they can hold on to a position for a little while longer than what you think they should. Leadership, 97. Hard work, 98. What's that one? Attitude, 100%. It matters how you go about doing what you're doing on a daily basis. Someone is always watching how you do it. The person that's above you, your supervisor, your colleague, if they ask you a question like Gerald Austin did about that play, they probably already know the answer to it. Just go ahead and say the truth and do it because you love it. We're going to keep going for just fun, okay? Motivated, 109. Determination, 126. I know there's a lot of you guys in here, 141. Confident men, but make no bones about it. When you get confident women, you got 106. I'm telling you, my journey, it's not stopping here. I mean, there's lots more I want to do, right? But if it can impact anybody in a positive way, regardless of their gender or their race or where they come from, I always say, I don't care where you come from, you know right from wrong. And you just choose to stay there. You do know right from wrong. But if it impacts anyone, especially my little girl. So this was after my playoff game in New England. And Billie Jean King, she's done a lot for women in sports. My aunt that was influential to me really thinks the world of her. I had the opportunity to meet her a few times. But she tweeted out, for the first time in history, a woman will officiate an NFL playoff game. You have to see it to be it, and little girls everywhere are watching. Way to go, Sarah Thomas. Now, the fact that she even knows my name was just, I love it. But my daughter, as you know, moms, dads, it's about 2 days before Halloween last year. I don't have the Halloween costume. So I look at Bailey, and she hadn't asked for it. I'm like, baby, we got to pull into Party City and get you a costume. She said, no, Mom, I know what I'm going to be. I said, what are you going to be? She said, I'm going to be you. I said, what? She said, an NFL official. I said, I got that costume. So she dressed up as me. But I'm telling you, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. 2020 has, you know, brought us plenty of whatever you want to call it. But I'm ready for it to be over and just keep looking through that windshield. And I truly want to thank all of you for having me. Tip, you've been great. Seriously, love it. It's been great. Derek, congratulations. Clay, I'm glad you're out. But, and you got to ask me the first question. But listen, I really appreciate it. So thank you all, and just keep doing what you're doing. Now, you had plenty just a minute ago. You got any now?
Put me on the spot. We'll say your favorite coach to deal with in the NFL.
All 32.
Too easy of a question. Your worst coach to deal with in the
He's
NFL.
no longer in the league. This is being recorded. But he's no longer in the league. Yeah. Anybody have a question? Yes, sir.
What is it you wish we knew about the game that you see as referees that most people, because every man in here thinks he knows football.
Sure.
So what do you wish you could just sit down and say you don't understand, or I wish you understood this?
The whole game. They don't. I'm serious. I mean, we have former players that are in the NFL right now as officials. And one of them is like my brother, TK. He played for the Titans, and he said, I had no idea. And to hear him talk about being a linebacker, and now he's an umpire, and was he outside of the pocket? Did the ball get back to the line of scrimmage for intentional grounding? I mean, just all this stuff to where, yes, you're, you know, your armchair quarterbacks or your officials, and I love it when I'm dogged out and I just want to look at them and go, you know what, if you got the cojones to sit here and tell me this, then go suit up. That's what I want to say. But it's really the whole game.
So what part would you say, nobody watches this part of the game, when you start watching football this weekend, watch this and you'll see something you've not seen?
I don't know, I'm gonna have to come back to you fast. Mayor, let's see, I don't know, I gotta think about that, I don't. Holding, everybody says you can call holding on every play, and there's gotta be a restriction, and we watch the feet. We don't necessarily watch grab. He's gotta be able to, like, the defender's gotta, his feet have got to stop, and that's something that a lot of people don't see. I'll watch their feet. Yeah, and we call it football for one reason. I'm gonna watch on the tight sideline catch. I'm gonna watch feet first, always, because they call it football for a reason. The feet have got to be in and they will go to the ball. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Sir, what do you, from your opinion, what do you think is the most difficult position on the football field as far as the players?
Players.
Yes.
You know, I never played the game, but you know, I think a quarterback's got to be. I mean, you can't touch him, so some people would say it's the easiest. But to be able to pick up your 10 players plus read the 11 that are on the other side of the field, it's got to be tough, and to be able to do it. I think the #1 ranked team now with an average of in the pocket to pass is 3 seconds, so that's not a long time. And so he's got to be quick on his feet, I would definitely say. And if you're a smaller guy, I think as a defensive back, good luck, you know, yeah. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned a very specific moment of a failure in your career where you missed a call on D Ford. Would you say that motivated you more, or your desire for success motivated you more to get where you were going?
The desire for success. I mean, and it's that you have to put that. I had to put that behind me. I just knew, and I had to grow on that. Of course, that's something that did help motivate me as well, or encourage me. But still, it's always, when you're out there, every snap there's something. Every snap. This past week when I was working, the first play from scrimmage, and I'm like, and I immediately go back and get it. And that's a lot. When I finish a game, we have a thumb drive, not the billfold, but the thumb drive. And so it's got all the plays on there from that game. So it's about 180 games, and every position that we work on the field is there. I get that thumb drive, I pop it in my computer, get me a glass of red wine, I sit there, and I go to every foul I called. So if you see us writing, we're writing down our fouls and the time and all of that it happened, because we have to do a game report before we can watch the game, because they don't want us to look at the play and try to pad it if we missed it. So I'll report that, and then I'll watch that on the plane. Then I go to all the ones I jot down. The suspects. Did I miss it? Look at it. And then I'll watch the entire game. And there's 4 angles that we watch it. The end zone is the kill shot. It tells us all. But I watch it, so it takes me, I hope to get that done before I land in Jackson, Mississippi at 11:30 at night, because I've got 2 children now still at home that I got to get up the next morning and start that day. But we key it in and we constructively criticize all of us. Hey, that's a good get, that's this, that's that. We submit that. And we have to key in our fouls in a database. We submit that. Then they start grading us. And today, before I met Tip, you texted me, it was 5:53. I had 7 minutes before I met you, and so I looked at it again. I've looked at it since Monday. Today's Tuesday. Jeez, where's the time? But today's Tuesday, so I've looked at it, and so hopefully tomorrow we'll get an official grade. So those grades matter on my postseason assignment. And believe me, I want to be in a postseason. That means I rank high enough, and I'm qualified to be there. So all the myths about and the conspiracies that we this, that, and the other is out the window, right? But we do. I mean, it's constant. And it's just every snap, every play, I want to be the best official I can be out there. Because like I said, I hated the officials, so I want to be able to manage and not be seen in a game. Let them play. Yes, sir.
I was a former basketball official.
Yeah.
And so one of the terminologies we went by, I heard the same thing about the holding. We went by advantage, disadvantage.
Yes, indeed.
So is that one thing?
Materially affect
Yep.
is the biggest thing, yep. And that's the big thing too, you know, as far as an advantage. If you have a defensive end and he's crowding, you know, the line of scrimmage, you know, okay, you can crowd, but don't get a rolling start. So it's the disadvantage that he's putting. Or if a tackle's far enough back, he's getting an advantage, you know, to protect the quarterback. So yes, we materially affect is what we say. Yep, that's a tough job. My assignment secretary, when I got into high school football, he didn't know what to do with me either. He's like, don't you want to do basketball? So I did basketball for about 3 years, but I played it, so I wanted to coach the players on the court instead of, you know, officiating it. I don't know what time it is. Y'all ready to go to bed? There's a debate on, there's a comedy show or something, I don't know, but I just want to tell you all, thank you for having me, really. It's a great group of people. Midland is beautiful, and I just thank you for having me.
So I offered to mediate the Q&A, and she told me she didn't need a referee. So fair enough. Let's give one more round of applause to Sarah for coming out here. And I want to thank everybody else for being here and supporting the PBLA, and I hope you all have a great night and a great week with the rest of our events.